This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. It's Friday, January 4th, 2019. We are one day away from Wild Card Weekend. I'm excited. I'm Jeff Malinoff. Mark Souza is excited. That's Mark Souza. I said his name twice. Don't question that. But we have more to talk about than the NFL playoffs, which we will get to. We got a couple important NBA games that happened yesterday on Thursday, that James Harden versus the Warriors, as well as Kawhi Leonard's return to San Antonio. But we'll start in Golden State, as the Houston Rockets and Golden State Warriors had a classic.
Yeah, 135-134 Rockets take the win, and it all ended with a James Harden
miracle shot.
Yeah, big three-pointer over Draymond.
And Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
There was two guys.
He was double-teamed for sure. Draymond was in his face, but he knocks the three over both of them to give his team the win. The Warriors were not able to score after that, and
there was only 1 second left, 2 seconds left.
Yeah, 2 seconds left. So that performance by James Harden, again, he has just been on fire lately. I don't even know how many games in a row that's over 40 points now. But, man, 44 points for him. None bigger, obviously, than the three, but he has a triple-double with 44, 15, and 10 as he leads the Houston Rockets to a big win on the road at Oracle Arena in Oakland. And now the Rockets are all of a sudden 22-15. The Warriors are 25-14. So they're right behind the Warriors. The Rockets have really ascended in the standings over the last month.
But I know they've been playing well. And I just have to play devil's advocate here, or the other side of the spectrum. The Houston Rockets committed 10 turnovers yesterday. James Harden committed 7 of them.
Yeah, he turns the ball over a lot.
Does that worry you at all? I know he's been playing extremely well. I'm not taking that away from him. But he has a lot of mistakes, and eventually I think those mistakes are going to cost him games.
I mean, we would really be having to scrape the bottom of the barrel if we're going to say that. If we're going to talk about his turnovers, I mean, I get it, 7 turnovers, but he does average, I think, like 4 or 5 turnovers a game. Mm-hmm. He has the ball a lot.
I just had to play devil's advocate on that one.
The Rockets have won 6 in a row. They've won 9 of their last 10. I think it's safe to say.
They're playing extremely well, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that they're the hottest team in the NFL at this point.
NFL?
NBA, excuse me.
That's sad.
I'm excited about Wild Card Weekend, man.
Yes, I am too. And there are other teams that are hot, but they have the longest winning streak. But right behind them, I would say Indiana Pacers are almost just as hot.
Yeah, maybe
they're on a 5-game winning streak themselves.
Yeah, the Pacers are playing really well. They are 8-2 in their last 10. But for the Rockets, I think it's more the fact that where they were, like at the beginning of December, and then all of a sudden now they're in 4th place in the Western Conference, and they're only 3 games back of the 1 seed. Like, they're right there. They really struggled to start the year off.
And with this loss for Golden State, they dropped to 3 seed, which is pretty low for them. Denver regains the 1st seed. They're on a 4-game winning streak themselves. They beat Sacramento last night. Denver's on top again. They are playing just as good as they have been. I can honestly see this. I can see a Houston Rockets, Denver Nuggets, Western Conference Finals if it comes down to it.
Houston Rockets, Denver Nuggets?
Yeah, what'd I say?
No Golden State?
Honestly, the way they've been playing, obviously I still believe they're going to win the finals until I'm proven otherwise. But right now, it would not surprise me as much to see Denver versus Houston winner goes to the finals.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I can't.
Really?
I can't say that. Golden State is still the best team in the league.
Yeah.
They would have to suffer a major injury to one of Curry, Clay, Draymond, and Durant. And even if they did suffer an injury to one of the four, I think they still might win the title.
Doesn't that bum you out, though? How good everyone else has been playing, but we're all thinking the Warriors are still going to win the NBA championship.
I mean, it is what it is. I think the basketball season so far has been good this year. I mean, we're not seeing the Warriors run away with it just yet. And, maybe something happens. Like, maybe since the Warriors aren't playing at their best right now, maybe it is something where other teams catch ground on them and steal a Game 7. I don't know.
Do you see the videos of, all the gods, all the sport gods having a meeting together? Do you see those videos? I think Bleacher Report does them.
I don't think so.
Oh, well, that's good. Basketball's I didn't give him the game. I gave Kobe a great send off. I think that was good for everybody. I wonder what he's saying now. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to give the Warriors a little bit of trouble, but I'm going to give them the championship later on.
Yeah, maybe so.
That's the meeting. That's how it's going down.
I think one thing that we need to point out in this game was maybe what was the worst missed call ever in the history of sports, not just basketball.
And there have been some bad no travel calls also.
I know it's a little reactionary to say, but
it was terrible.
Kevin Durant saved a ball, but he didn't save a ball. He was
out of bounds for a good 10 steps before he tried to save that ball.
He was out of bounds 10 steps. He had both feet out of bounds. He never even came close.
He was
to
hopping out of bounds for some reason, thinking he was still in bounds, but he was way out of bounds. He was a good foot.
And the crazy thing about it, if you haven't seen it, please check it out.
You would laugh. It's openly funny.
You have to see what we're talking about. But the crazy thing is you have 3 referees on the court. And
no one sees that?
2 of them had great views of the play. They could see down the line, one from the baseline, one from the sideline.
The entire arena had a good look at it.
I think there were fans closer to being in bounds than Kevin Durant was, to be honest.
The guys in the front. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
courtside, yeah.
He was asked about it after the game. Kevin Durant was asked by a reporter, and he said that he had seen the play on replay and that he knew he was out of bounds, but he was not surprised that they didn't call it because they had missed a lot of calls during the game.
That's okay. That's like saying the pitcher made a lot of the umpire made a lot of bad balls and strikes, but when the guy jumped over the fence and took the home run away from the player, yeah, that's a bad call.
I think it's interesting just because, Kevin Durant obviously knew that he was out of bounds and everything, and it just kind of, I don't think it was disrespectful for him to say that, but it just kind of highlights how poor that call was, and also it makes you wonder if anything will happen. I know that the NBA does. They need
to make repercussions. They need to find some. They need to find some
NBA
referees.
They always put out their last 2-minute report, and it usually details over what calls were made, why, and if there was a missed call.
What's this one? How they get them out of this hole?
We saw with the NFL this year where a referee had a bad week and he was let go in middle of the season.
Yeah, all these refs should be fired if that's the case.
It is something to.
We need a college for referees. They need 4 years of referee college, and then they can be in a professional setting.
Well, I think these referees are. You know what I mean? I think they have the qualifications, but it doesn't mean that they.
Doesn't feel like they do.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I'm not defending the referees here, but I'm saying that it's not like these guys are I took refereeing 101 and now I'm refereeing an NBA game. These are officials who have done every level, and yes, I will say, admittedly so, when I go to sporting events, I always think that the NBA games that I go to, that the officiating is the worst, and I always seem to have 1 to 2, sometimes 3 to 4 moments in a game where I'm watching an NBA game where I'm like, oh my God, that is the worst call. And I say that a couple times during a game. So with that, I think it's everybody. With that being said, in the NBA, it's just there's a lot of phantom calls. Players get. I know that after the 2 games last night, there was the Sacramento Kings and Denver Nuggets played last night. They called Harry Giles on a flagrant foul, and it was just a foul. It was just a hard foul. It wasn't malicious, and he got the ball. And him and the player hit each other. They both hit each other. They both kind of went down. But it's nobody's ever calling that a flagrant foul until last night was called a flagrant foul. And I highlight that play, and I know a lot of people didn't watch that game because it was at Denver and Sacramento. But it's like, I know that as NBA fans, when we watch the games on national TV as well, we're always looking and we're seeing, like, that's not that bad of a foul. What, like, flagrant or, 5 steps, no travel. Like, we see these blatant misses where it's like, we can deal with the...
Thank God we have Shackton a fool.
Yeah, we can deal with a guy gets some ball, some arm, and it's called a foul. Okay, maybe we don't agree with it, but, like, we can see why that was called from the ref's point of view. But there are some where it's like, man, the guy never got touched. How is that even a foul?
Yeah.
Or,
I'm not going to lie. I've always thought there is some favoritism in the NBA when it comes to officiating.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's superstar sport. It's superstar driven.
That's disgusting, though. I don't like that. Why? Like, how come Kevin Durant gets all these no calls, and then when he gets one bad call, he complains like a little baby?
I mean, it is...
I mean, he's not... I'm just saying as an example of what I've seen.
I mean, for sure there is favoritism because it is a superstar-driven sport, especially in the NBA more than other sports. But we see it in the NFL, too. I mean, how many times does a quarterback get touched and it's a flag?
Then when another quarterback gets his head ripped off...
Well, you see it. You see it with quarterbacks in general are
No, I'm saying, like, when a backup quarterback gets his head ripped off, no call. But when, like, Aaron Rodgers gets shoved to the ground, that's a call. You don't.
And then when we see it in football, it's like logic kind of is thrown away for the fact that, like, we'll see like a defensive lineman hit a quarterback below the knee, but it's because he got pushed down by the lineman and he's like crawling to sack him, and then they're like, "Oh, he hit him below the knee," but it's like, well, he did hit him below the knee.
Do you remember
he pushed into him?
Yeah, but do you remember the Texans-Eagles game when Clowney sacked Foles and he put his helmet into his chest a little bit, but he stopped himself from landing on top of him, but still got the roughing the passer call?
I do remember that, but the one that's more memorable to me is Clay Matthews earlier this year getting like 2 back-to-back where it's like, what am I supposed to do, ref?
Like, they expect them to stop like full speed. Like, just that's not how physics work.
There needs to be, in all of sports, there needs to be more of a common sense element to, yes, here are the rules, but like things happen that you don't really like that happen in one play that don't happen all the time, right? Like,
but let me ask you this. If there's like a replay that's happening and it's not based off the penalty, just based off the play itself, and you see the penalty, should the refs call it?
I think so.
Like, I'm not saying review penalties, because then we'll see reviews every single play.
That actually brings up a point from last night. The referees could not review that missed call against Kevin Durant.
They should have.
They couldn't.
Well, I know, but that's like there's a problem with
by rule, they can't even look at that call. And all they would have had to do is look at it one time and they would change the call. But they can't change an out-of-bounds call, I guess, in the NBA. For whatever reason, I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense.
Are you sure they can't call an overturn and over?
They cannot review that play last night, and that's what the criticism was, okay, well, why don't they just review it? Because it was in the last 2 minutes. You can review you can't review calls in the NBA unless it's under 2 minutes, unless it's for like a flagrant foul. You can't review like a missed call, like an out of bounds call or something like that, unless it's under 2 minutes. And you can't review if it's a player stepping out of bounds. You can review if you don't know who the ball went off of, but you can't review if like where someone's feet were, which doesn't make any sense at all.
That's completely backwards.
It doesn't make an ounce of sense. And you know what? If the Rockets lost that game, we would be talking about this even more, and it would be the only thing that anybody's talking about today. But since the Rockets won the game, it's in the backseat. So
yeah, they kind of dodged. The referees got bailed out by James Harden
for sure, because that referee or both referees who missed that call can sleep a little bit easier. Can sleep a little bit easier because the Rockets won the game.
They're only going to get 2 bricks thrown through their windows tonight, not 3.
You know, I would say that we're probably the people that are talking about it the most of all the other sports shows out there, because the Warriors ended up losing the game and it didn't cost the Rockets. But we should shift our attention to last night's first of the doubleheader on TNT, the Spurs and Kawhi's return to San Antonio.
And I said that he was going to get booed maliciously, and that was an understatement.
He got booed.
No, they chanted traitor at him. I never
wouldn't
heard
say that was like the worst booing I've ever seen.
No. But them chanting traitor, that's pure hatred.
Yeah, I mean,
I've never heard I never heard of fans chant traitor at a player before. Like I've said, like a you suck chant is one thing. Traitor.
I thought it was funny because it was so coincidental that Danny Green gets introduced right before Kawhi Leonard. They both played for the Spurs and they both were traded. And it was like, I would say Danny Green.
I would say Danny Green is less vocal about him wanting to be traded than Kawhi.
Well, he didn't want to be traded. He was just part of the trade. It wasn't his fault.
Yeah, it was like Danny Green was just part of the trade.
It was just funny that
Kawhi
Danny Green was introduced right before Kawhi Leonard.
Thing is, like, Kawhi obviously instigated it. Danny Green had nothing to do with it. So why boo Danny Green?
I think Spurs fans, they have every right to boo, but I mean that was kind of weak in my opinion.
No, I honestly would. I disagree with that one. I understand their frustrations when a guy like that is your best player on your team, and he just says he wants out, and he doesn't really give a
Popovich
reason
thought
why.
It was pretty weak too. He thought that he was disappointed in their fans for booing.
I'm gonna play the other side of this coin here, and I would just understand the fans' frustration when your star player, the guy that's brought you success recently, says, "Yeah, I'm tired of this place. I want out."
I understand. I mean, fans are always going to be.
They felt cheated a little bit. I understand. It's like if Kobe Bryant's remember when Kobe Bryant requested a trade? If that trade actually happened, he would be the most hated man in LA.
So the Spurs ran away with this one. That was like the crappy part of this was that the game was terrible. I mean, the Spurs.
DeMar DeRozan had his revenge game for sure.
DeMar to regular season, you mean?
Oh, that's harsh.
Yeah, he does really show up in the regular season sometimes, doesn't he?
I do have to say that how mad DeMar DeRozan was, understandably, him getting this game was pretty gratifying for him, I bet.
So I heard this stat, and I haven't checked it, so don't quote me on this, but I had heard that DeMar DeRozan's triple-double was the first triple-double by a Spurs player at home since Tim Duncan in 2003, which means that Kawhi Leonard and other players never had a triple-double at home. Now, at home is the caveat here.
Yeah, but that doesn't...
But that seems really weird.
That does seem... Because there's so many good players. And Tim Duncan only won triple-double at home in 2003 in his 15-year career.
I'm not sure which NBA journalist put this out there, but that's where I got it from.
Well, so, I don't think that's the case. That feels wrong. I understand if it's actually true.
It does
that's
sound
shocking.
Weird, though, that somebody would put that out there without really researching that, because that's very specific.
On a dynasty like the Spurs, one triple-double at home in 15 years, I don't agree with that.
I mean...
I'm not going to...
I think it's crazy to hear, but I don't know.
If it's true, it's true, but that just seems like it's not true. It seems like that's too unrealistic.
DeRozan was on fire last night. I mean, there was really nothing that he couldn't do.
Yeah, 21, 14, and 11, 7 of 15. Didn't shoot 1 3. And still had 21. Yeah,
he never shoots threes. That's his problem.
Yeah, well, for a shooting guard, it's really weird too because
that's kind of why the Raptors have been stuck without winning playoff games when he was on the Raptors, because teams shut down his mid-range game and he doesn't shoot threes well. So then he's kind of stuck.
Yeah, but 0 attempts. That's
I
know.
I would say that he's probably had more games this year with 0 attempts than he's had with 1 attempt. If I had to guess,
he really needs to work on the practice. That's what practice is for.
I mean, at this point, though, isn't it? He is who he is.
Sometimes you got to adapt your game. You know.
I agree. I just feel like he should have already done that 5 years ago when the NBA completely has changed.
I guess he might be a little stubborn about it.
Yeah,
because he could, if he was a 3-point shooter or added the 3-point to his game, you could see a 40-point game from him from this effort.
Sometimes he does have 40-point games. Without shooting threes, which is crazy.
Just add maybe 6 threes to this game. Add 18 points.
Mm-hmm.
That's an amazing day, even more than 21 points.
Yeah, let's see. He averages 1 3-point attempt a game, and he is shooting 18% on the season from 3. So I guess that's why he doesn't shoot threes, because he shoots threes and he makes them about 1.5 every 10 times.
1 3 every 10 games? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry.
So
isn't that what practice is for?
He's averaging 1 attempt a game, and they've played like 35 games?
That's so weird coming from a shooting guard.
It is.
Because
especially one who can shoot from 20 feet, 18 feet, 19
his position is shooting guard. Shooting, keyword.
Mm-hmm.
That's just incredible to me.
It's the Spurs have been hot. They started off another team. We talked about the Rockets struggling. For a while, Dallas had the best record of all the teams in Texas, which I thought was pretty crazy. Now that seems like an afterthought as the Mavericks keep tumbling in the standings, and then the Spurs and the Rockets keep ascending in the standings. So
I forget. I keep forgetting there's 3 teams in Texas for basketball.
Texas Triangle when they go on the road trips.
Yeah, but like
teams usually do the Texas
there's
Triangle.
3 basketball teams, 2 basketball teams, 2 baseball teams, 2 football teams, or 3 basketball, 2 football, 2 baseball, and a soccer team,
and a million college football teams. It seems like.
Well, yeah. Well, it's a huge state, granted,
Yeah.
but
I mean
that's an absurd amount of professional.
There's
teams.
a lot of relevant college football teams. California is a huge state too, but I feel like they don't even have as many.
It's not a football area.
Yeah, but
that's unfortunate.
Texas, you have Texas Tech,
Texas is all about football, though. That's like what they're born for.
You got SMU, you got Houston.
Would you say SMU's good?
SMU was a dynasty for a little bit there in the 80s before they got the death penalty by the NCAA.
Yes, lethal injection of poor players. I know it. Yeah.
They got. Now, say what you want about them cheating and all that, but that really destroyed a program.
Yeah, you want to explain what the cheating was?
I mean, we don't need to get into it. We probably need to go to a break, but the thing is that's why we don't see that anymore. When sanctions happen in NCAA, they don't happen like what happened in SMU in the 80s. But anyways. What would it look like if we all just, I don't know, listen more? Listening to audiobooks inspires us, motivates us, and brings us closer. And there's no better place to listen than with Audible. Audible has the largest selection of audiobooks on the planet. And now Audible members get more than ever before. Each month, they get 3 titles of their choice, 1 audiobook, 2 Audible originals, and fitness programs that you can't get anywhere else. There's never been a better time to experience Audible. Try it free for 30 days. All you got to do is visit audible.com/GSMCbook or text GSMCbook to the code 500. Do it today and start that 30-day free trial.
What happens to your decision-making when you drink? Well, after one drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. Get home safe. Brought to you by Washington Target Syrup.
Welcome back, everyone, to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We just finished talking about the NBA. Now it's time for Wild Card Weekend. It is time for games on Saturday still.
Did you know that Reggie Bush and Alex Smith were high school teammates?
Yeah, I did actually.
At Helix High School in San Diego?
Yes, one went to Utah, one went to USC, one was obviously more accessible.
How devastating
Wait, what's this
is
have to
that?
do with anything?
How devastating would it be to play high school football against 2 guys who end up being starting players on offense in the NFL?
Yeah, what if it was like have you seen the high school tapes of Marshawn Lynch just showing kids? Yeah.
But like if Marshawn Lynch also had like Drew Brees, or like Marshawn Lynch had insert anybody, Joe Flacco, like that's got to be devastating for high school opponents.
Let's see. Same year, I'm trying to think of like someone like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so we got to jump into the wild card weekend extravaganza.
Yes. Tomorrow's games are both both weekends have NFC and AFC games. But the first AFC game is Colts and Texans, and the first NFC game is Seahawks-Cowboys. Seahawks-Cowboys get the primetime game on Fox, and the Colts and Texans get ESPN and ABC. So,
Yeah,
do you
it's
think
gonna
that
be
should
good,
be?
man.
Do you think I think the Colts and Texans game I would rather have on primetime, to be honest with you.
The interesting thing about 3 of the 4 games this weekend, but definitely both of the games tomorrow on Saturday, is that the home team is favored by less than a field goal, which tells you that if it was a neutral site, that the away team in these games would likely be the favorite, which is super interesting to me because I don't think I've seen these game lines that close for multiple games like
The
this.
only game that's 3 points or higher is the Bears and Eagles, and Bears are favored by 6.
Yes. Super interesting to me. It's not that it means a
Yeah,
whole lot, but I think that says a lot to how close these teams are because it's not uncommon for us to see a wild card game where a team is favored by like 10 points. Like if, I don't know, let's just say, if the Texans were playing the Bills from last year, like I would think that line would be pretty high for the Texans. But no, they're playing the Colts. And you could argue that the Colts are better than the Texans, even though the Texans won the division. The
Right.
Colts might be the better football team. So we got to go into it. The Colts,
Debatable.
Colts and Texans, I think, are arguably the 2 best teams in the AFC in the last like 8 or 9 weeks. I think both have lost 1 game, maybe 2 games. The Texans and Colts both went on crazy runs to get where they are. The Texans did not run away with the division because the Colts are right on their tails the whole time. Mm-hmm. What do you kind of see in this game? Like if somebody's watching this game or when you're watching this game, what are you going to be looking for tomorrow?
Well, a lot of passing,
Yeah.
mainly from the Texans, but the thing is, I just see this as an even matchup. Like both teams have a lot going for them right now, and honestly, like I understand, I would honestly pick the Texans in this one personally, just because of the fact that they just seem like the better fit team all around. I know they have a great offense, and the Colts have a great offense. It's very evenly matched, but I still have the Texans in this because Deshaun Watson, I feel like, is more suited for the playoffs right now than Andrew Luck is. I know you
gonna be
could
a
totally
good game.
disagree.
It's going to be a good game. I think we'll see. I think this will be the highest scoring game of all the games this weekend. If I'm looking at all 4.
I'm looking more, Texans and Colts is my go-to.
Like I think we're going to see a game probably in the high 20s, low 30s in both teams in terms of score. I think
I can see a last-second field goal ending a lot of these games, actually.
Yeah. Both teams, good quarterbacks. Both teams have one really, really good wide receiver, Hopkins for the Texans, T.Y. Hilton for the Colts. Mm-hmm. The Colts, I think, have the better running game, a little bit better offensive line.
Marlon Mack is the best running back out of the 2 starters, for sure.
The Texans have a better defensive line. I think the Colts have a better linebacking core.
Well, their rookie linebackers leading league in tackles, and then you have J.J. Watt and Jadvis Clowney on either end of the line. It's every time there's a weakness in one team, that team has its strengths.
Now, I think it really is going to come down to which secondary is going to make one more play than the other because both these quarterbacks are really good, and I don't think there will be too many mistakes out there. But if Andrew Luck or Andrew Luck or Deshaun Watson, if one of them throws a pass or two that is interceptable, I think the team that capitalizes on that mistake will likely win. I really think it's that close. These teams are that evenly matched. You like the Texans. I like the Colts to squeak one out. I like Adam Vinatieri to kick a game-winning field goal.
Again?
Yeah, we've seen this before, I believe, a few times, maybe.
I don't know. I can't really remember.
Who is this Adam Vinatieri guy?
I don't know,
He's got the white beard. It's around Christmas time, even though it has just passed.
He kicked some field goals in some games that were snowy or something like that. Maybe one in in a last-second field goal win. But that's all kickers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every single one always comes up.
Okay, we're totally joking. Before we get hate on this, we're totally joking. He's probably one of the best kickers of all time. So
I got
anyone
the Colts
complains
to win this game 30-27 Colts.
Okay. Well, give me the Texans on this one, 34-20. I just see them running away with it.
34-20? Mm-hmm. Dang, you think it'll be a blowout, huh?
Well, not a blowout. I think the last couple of plays in the game will be like interception, touchdown type of thing. Just
all right. Why don't we move on to the Seattle Seahawks traveling down south to play the Dallas Cowboys?
Okay, go for it.
Cowboys 10-6, won the East. Seahawks get the wild card pretty much comfortably. In the NFC West, they didn't really have a chance to win the division as the Rams pulled away early. But Seattle played really good football, especially the second half of the year. It seems like every year that's what they do, especially the last few years, where they start off a little slow, and then they figure it out. They're a well-coached team, of course. Pete Carroll and the Seahawks, they simply are a team we can always expect to make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. As for Dallas, they really struggled this year, and everything changed with that Amari Cooper trade. I don't know if it was just because of him or what, but since that trade, they've lost one game. They went on a big run, and they win the division. So, with that being said, Dallas is a 2-point favorite at home. Will the Cowboys win this game? Do you trust Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys to win against a Russell Wilson Seattle team?
I do.
Really?
I honestly do. I think Zeke and Dak are going to have the biggest, what's the word I'm looking for? The biggest impact on the game, for sure. And I think that's going to seal the deal for them. And honestly, this Seahawks team got in by the skin of their teeth. And I just don't see them going very far.
I mean, they didn't get in by the skin of their teeth.
Well, to me, they did. Because,
they clinched a wild card spot, week 16, I think? Week 15, week 16. They were 10-6.
But the thing is, they had to play the Niners twice and the Cardinals twice.
Right. I mean, but when you look at their schedule, they played some tough teams early too.
I just don't see. I don't understand why everyone says this team can win the Super Bowl. I don't personally see it at all.
Well, probably because they have won it. But
that's a completely different team than this team.
And Seattle's won 7 straight playoff games in the first game of the playoffs, so they haven't been knocked out in their first playoff game in 7 straight years, which is pretty good run.
Streaks are made to be broken.
That's true. They could certainly lose this game, but I don't trust Dak Prescott in a playoff game over Russell Wilson. And I know there's more components to that, but
personally, I think it's the team around them that's going to make the difference, not just the quarterback.
I agree with that. Seattle's defense, I think, is a little bit underrated. The Cowboys' defense, we know how good they are. They showed everybody on that primetime game against the Saints how good they can be on any given night. And I think the Cowboys are a better team overall than Seattle. But for me, that's the problem. In playoff games, quarterbacks shine. And until Dak shows me that he can win a playoff game, I'm going to take the other quarterback.
Honestly, he should have won the first time he was in the playoffs, because if the defense stopped Aaron Rodgers from making that pass, then that's a whole different story. But
right.
So it wasn't his
fault
he lost.
Ago. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't his fault. I'm not blaming Dak Prescott.
I'm not saying it's his fault, but I think that Russell Wilson has the experience advantage, and he is just a magician sometimes. I think Seattle wins this game by a score of 24-20.
Okay. Give me the Cowboys winning this one 27-21.
27-21 for Dallas. All right, why don't we move on to Sunday?
All right, Sunday.
Chargers and Ravens is the first game.
Yes.
And although the Chargers were 12-4, they will be the road team traveling to Baltimore.
Not fair, but okay.
They will travel to Baltimore to face the Ravens, led by Lamar Jackson. The impressive rookie has really gotten it done on the ground this year. We'll see if they have enough offensively, because the Chargers definitely have a good offense.
You can arguably say the Chargers may be one of the, if not the best team in football still. Even though if they're the wild card.
You could argue that.
Yeah.
You could argue, too, that the Ravens are hard to beat right now because of
momentum-wise, absolutely.
Lamar Jackson's, he's really hard to stop. Even though teams know that they're going to run the ball, they seem to not be able to stop him completely. Mm-hmm. And the Ravens, even in their losses, they lost to I almost said San Diego, to Los Angeles. They lost
need that. We really do need that dollar jar.
They lost to Kansas City, but they were close in those games. So the Ravens have been right there. Who do you like in this game?
I got to keep with Los Angeles. The Chargers are still an elite team in my mind, and 12-4 speaks for itself. and just give me the Chargers on this one. And I say they win this game by a score of, give me a 31-23 victory.
Sounds like Melvin Gordon will be playing. Seems like both teams are relatively healthy in terms of injury concerns. The Chargers will have Keenan Allen. They also have Hunter Henry back for the first time this season.
Hey, Stephen A. Smith, your guy.
Yeah, so he will actually be activated and playing. He tore his ACL in like May or June, like real early in the offseason.
It was like training camp, right?
Yeah, it was like May or June, I believe, and he is back, which I don't know what to expect from that. We don't know how effective he'll be, how much he'll play. But
do you think it's smart for him to come back? Do you think it's smart for the team to allow him to come back?
I mean, if he's healthy, he's been rehabbing for the last 6 months. I don't know. ACL injuries nowadays are a lot easier to rehab than they were 25 years ago. So
yeah, of course, but I'm just saying, like, he hasn't been on the field. He might be rusty in this kind of a game. Do you put him at a starting lineup?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how much he's going to play, if he's going to be like on a snap count.
I don't think he's going to start.
I mean, I'm sure his conditioning at least won't be there, so he won't play like a ton. Like, he'll probably split snaps or even get less than split with Antonio Gates. So, with that being said, though, I like the Chargers to pull off the upset just because their defense, I think, is more equipped to stop the Ravens than a lot of other defenses are. And I do think that Phillip Rivers is smart enough with the football that he can get it done against a very tough Baltimore defense. I like the Chargers to win this game. You said 31-23. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring. I think
playoffs have proven otherwise, though. That's why I'm saying playoffs are a lot different due to, like, they could be the best defensive football. It still seems to go still high scoring.
I think the Chargers are going to win this game by a score of 24-21.
So last second field goal, or
maybe. Yeah, I think it'll be obviously a close game.
Honestly, I don't trust any field goal kickers. If I'm in the postseason, I'll be like, oh God, I'll be so terrified.
Justin Tucker, he did miss that one crucial field goal against the Ravens.
Did you see the look on his face?
Excuse me, against the Patriots.
Yes.
What was it, like 4 or 5 years ago, where he hooked it really bad?
I think that was the AFC title game, if I'm not mistaken. Do you remember
No,
that
it was
field goal he
the,
missed? Did you see the field goal he missed recently this week, this year, and his eyes bugged out?
No, he doesn't miss many. I didn't see that though. All right, so last game of the weekend: Eagles-Bears.
Eagles-Bears. I don't see Nick Foles doing this again. I just don't.
None, huh? No chance?
But if he was playing like the Ravens or even the Chargers, I would say, or you know what I mean, if he was in the AFC, a whole different story. If he was playing the Cowboys or Seahawks, I would definitely give him the up. But he's playing the Bears, who are one of the most, like, Khalil Mack is a whole different beast, making that team as good as they are. Their offense is clicking. Their defense is clicking. This is just a complete team. The Bears
offense, I don't know if it's clicking, though. I have to say
they've had some pretty positive games.
I have to stop you there, though, because, yes, their defense has been on fire all season, but I don't know about offensively.
They've won games.
Yeah, they have. Need. They have, but you don't just because you win games doesn't mean you're firing on all cylinders.
I never said I just said they're clicking. It works. Firing on all cylinders is they're no one's stopping them. Clicking is they're getting their job done.
Okay, I mean you're kind of splitting hairs there, but I guess what you're
getting the job done doesn't mean they're perfect.
Right, but I mean their offense does leave a little bit to be desired at times.
Well, of course, Mitchell Trubisky's still coming into his own, but he's still winning games.
Sure,
this defense is still getting the job done. It's the offense is just as important, and he's winning games, and that's all that matters.
Absolutely, but we've also seen their offense struggle at times. I mean, they did score 15 points against the Rams. They did score 14 points against the 49ers team. That's pretty bad defensively. They can score points. They have a really good offensive-minded coach. The issue is sometimes Trubisky is on, sometimes he's off. And again, when I look at all these games, there's a common theme. It's the quarterbacks that I think are less proven are kind of the player or the teams that I'm betting against. I think the Bears are a better football team than the Eagles.
I think there's no question about that.
But I do have to respect the fact that the Eagles have the experience, and I'm not saying that means everything, but we are talking about a team that won the Super Bowl this year or last year. Well, I guess technically.
No.
Technically,
last year,
this
2018.
last year.
Yeah. It's been a
And
year.
the Bears have never been there before. I don't know if anybody
This
on
Bears team.
I don't know if any of the Bears players, at least their significant players, have been to a playoff game. From what I can, Khalil Mack played in a playoff game because he played with the Raiders against the Texans. He's one guy. They probably have. They're going to have some because NFL teams have 53 players. There's going to be one or two players for sure that have made the playoffs before. But Trubisky in the playoffs, I gotta see it to believe it. I don't know if the Eagles are going to win this game, but I think they're going to cover 7 points or 6.5, wherever you're looking. I like the Eagles to at least keep it within a touchdown. I'm going to go with I have all road teams winning, which seems crazy, and I'm going to stay with it. I'm going to say the Eagles win.
You're insane. I'm just you said you were insane. That's why I was like, I agree with you. You're insane.
The Eagles will win this game by a score of 19-17.
Okay.
Somehow, some way.
Well, I mean, it's happening Back to the Future.
And then what will you say about this game?
Well, the thing is, what you're saying is true, and everyone's like, "Oh, Nick Foles is going to do it again," but I'm not buying it. They lost Jay Ajayi, which is crucial, and this defense just doesn't feel the same as it was when they went 13-3 in the first round bye, obviously. And so, honestly, I gotta go. Like, I went with one away team in the Chargers. And the rest, I went home. I'm going to stick with my home teams, and I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears winning this one by a score of 17-10.
Bears 17-10. Yeah, they have a great team. I'm not saying anything that like they aren't.
The Bears.
The Eagles are hot. They beat the Rams, the Texans, and they shut out the Redskins when they needed to win to make the playoffs. That's 3 big-time wins in a row. We'll see what happens, though. I can see this game going either way. It's obviously, if the Eagles didn't win the Super Bowl last year, I probably wouldn't pick them. But what they were able to do last year...
You're picking Nick Foles is what you're doing.
It's not just him, but I do think that the players around them... I mean, look at their last 3 games, Jeff. They smacked the Rams. In L.A., they won. They beat the Texans 32-30, and then they destroyed the Redskins. I get it, the Redskins aren't great, but they needed a win to get in that game, and they didn't even let it be close. Like, they just shut the door on that game. I get it. The Eagles, though, we have to admit, we both have to admit, they are playing their best football by far.
I'm not taking that away from them, but I still think the Bears are
they're 6-point favorites for a reason. The Bears are 6-point favorites for a reason. Most people think they're going to win and win pretty easily.
I say so. I don't say easily,
but 6 points. I'm just saying the public. 6 points is a lot. In terms of betting, if you're near a touchdown, you're saying one team is definitely better than the other.
One team got in by the last game of the season, and the other, and they needed the team they're facing to beat the team before them. They needed the Bears to beat the Vikings to get to where they are now. And so it's one of those things where the Bears were in, 2 or 3 weeks before?
Yeah.
And it just one of the things
they
where...
They clinched a spot pretty early.
Yeah. One of the earliest, I think.
Yeah, they clinched. They didn't clinch their division for...
They just clinched the playoff spot.
But yeah, they're 12-4, so...
Yeah.
All right, so I think we need to go to a break.
Yes, we did. But first, I want to talk to you about Audible. What it would be like if we all listen more, and I do that paper for effect purposes. Audible audiobooks inspire us, motivates us, even brings us closer, and there's no better place to listen than Audible. Audible has the largest selection of audiobooks on the planet, and now Audible members get more than ever before. Each month, they get 3 titles of their choice: 1 audiobook, 2 Audible originals, and fitness programs they can't get anywhere else. There's never been a better time to experience Audible. Try it free for 30 days by visiting audible.com/GSMCbook or texting the code GSMCbook to 500500. Remember, if you want to try this for 30 days, you want to get this great deal for Audible, go to audible.com/GSMCbook or by texting the code GSMCbook to 500500.
What happens to your decision-making when you drink? Well, after one drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. Get home safe. Brought to you by Washington Target Zero.
Welcome back, everyone, to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We just finished talking about the NFL Playoff Wildcard Weekend coming up. Now we got more news about the NFL. Hard Knocks. There are a couple of teams that are...
There are 5 teams.
5 teams that are...
So here's the criteria for Hard Knocks. I'll give you the criteria.
I'll let you go.
The criteria for Hard Knocks is a team must have not made the playoffs in the last 2 years to be considered.
I did not know that.
Also, a team cannot have a new head coach.
Okay.
So,
hence why the Browns were last year's.
Right. So the Browns cannot be this year's.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because they did it last year, but because they will have a new coach. Mm-hmm. So the 8 teams that have coaching vacancies right now, none of them can be on Hard Knocks next year. And any team who made the playoffs in the last 2 years cannot. So that leaves us with 5 teams, only 5, that can be on Hard Knocks this year.
Okay, go.
The 49ers. The Raiders, the Giants, the Redskins, and the Lions. That's it. That's the only 5.
The Raiders sound like the one that it's going to be, though. John Gruden.
So I was going to ask you to tell me which one would you find most appealing of those 5?
Most appealing?
49ers, Raiders, Giants, Redskins, Lions. Most appealing on a national sense. Like which team would be the most interesting to kind of see the inner workings.
The Raiders.
The Raiders, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
That team's going through a lot of turmoil right now.
And John Gruden's a character, and he's very entertaining as a coach, so definitely.
You know what I find interesting is that Gruden just came from media. Like, he was just on TV for 10 years. Mike Mayock, their new general manager,
is a TV guy.
Just stepped out of the booth probably 5 minutes ago.
Was he in the booth or was he? I thought he was a draft guy.
Well, I mean, he did. He did NFL Network color commentating for a few years for sure. People were always upset because they didn't, because he has that weird. He talks a little funny. Like he has a
lisp.
I don't know if it's a lisp, but it's definitely a notable when you hear him, like, trust me on this. So
he has a recognizable voice and face for sure.
And dialect, like the way that he speaks. So, yeah, we got 2 guys, the GM, the head coach, who are TV media guys. And
Do you think that's smart, though, by the Raiders to bring in 2 guys who are...
I mean, I don't know. I guess we could talk about that another time. But
it just dawned on me. I'm like, wait a minute. These 2 guys were not even part of an NFL organization
another thing
ago.
Another thing that strikes me as interesting is the Raiders are in the process of not knowing where the hell they're going to be playing football next year. So I find that incredibly interesting for a TV show.
This whole team is falling apart.
There's just a lot of drama and suspense and question marks.
The Vegas Stadium's not ready to 2021, 2022, something like that. So they got a long time.
So moving on from the Raiders, let me ask you this. The 49ers, Giants, Redskins, and Lions are the other 4. Which go from most appealing to least appealing for the rest of the 4? Because you have Raiders number 1.
The least appealing is the Lions.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't there's not really any turmoil going on around there, anything that's sparking anything important. I mean,
I will just ask you this.
Okay.
I feel like Matt Patricia might be somebody who is interesting, their head coach.
Yeah, but I'm saying the team itself doesn't seem that interesting, though.
Oh, I won't deny that. I just kind of think Matt Patricia kind of seems like a guy, if they did Hard Knocks, you'd probably be like, that guy is a weirdo. I bet he would do a lot of weird things.
You think, he's weird, and then you actually watch him behind the scenes. You're like, wow, this dude's insane.
Like, he strikes me as somebody who would have, like, weird tendencies. I don't know. Like, maybe
look
in
at
his
that
office,
beard.
Like, maybe in his office, like, he would have, like, a weird
Rotisserie
display
chicken
of something. Like, I have no idea.
I'm not even saying he's. I'm just saying he has something weird, like a random rotisserie
Wasn't
chicken
he
in
like
his office.
he's super smart. Like, he went to Harvard or something, right?
Isn't he also a hunter, or am I thinking of somebody else?
I don't know, but isn't Matt Patricia like...
Did he go to Harvard?
Matt Patricia's, like, super smart.
Look this up because
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
to know. But
Well, anyways,
I would say, like, in the middle of the pack,
I'd say the Giants are the second most because
Yeah.
of Saquon and Odell.
Yes,
like, they
and
have
that-
some characters. And plus, Eli, if Eli's still the quarterback, I want to see kind of how that dynamic is. Like, if these guys are just like, man, we can't win with this guy. Or, like, I want to see kind of the
Yeah.
drama there, right? Because
Yeah.
you know there's drama.
Because I think a lot of those players are thinking Eli should not be the quarterback anymore, and I would tend to completely 100% agree.
And then if they did get rid of Eli, whoever the new quarterback would be, that'd be fascinating too to see like who this person is and how
I
he
think,
takes over.
honestly, I think right now any Giants fan will be thrilled to see a new quarterback, regardless who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you? If like you're a Giants fan, you're like, I'm tired of seeing interception over here. Keep throwing to the wrong team in the worst time, and his face on the sideline looking like he just got hit by a baseball bat. You know when he has that, like the memes? He's got his face is a meme.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be like, oh, it's time for a new era. And he's been great. Eli Manning's been fantastic, no question about it, in the playoffs at certain years. But his career overall is kind of a lull, especially in the regular season.
So Matt Patricia went to Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. RPI is what is
Say that 3 times fast.
Rensselaer Polytechnic.
Can't even say that 1 time fast.
I don't even know where this
Where is it?
It's in Troy, New York, and it has campuses in Connecticut as well.
So same place
But
as
it's
Troy
definitely
University.
very small. There's only 7,000 students that go there.
That's tiny.
Mm-hmm. Their nickname is the Engineers. It doesn't say what he.
So he's an
graduated in.
engineer major, basically. It sounds like it.
It doesn't say what he graduated in, but
Head coaching. They have a special head coaching program.
he played football there.
What 7,000 students? That football team must not be very good.
So he could have been a rocket scientist, apparently.
Dang. It said he's a millionaire 10 times over in Detroit. Can't seem to blame him on that one.
So let me ask you this. Okay, so we have the Raiders and then the Giants 1 and 2 in terms of most appealing on this list. And then who would you say? You said the Lions are last, so would you say the 49ers or Redskins?
I would say Redskins.
I think the Redskins are the most unappealing.
Really?
Yeah. Just because you know what? I take it back. They're more appealing than the Lions, probably because the Redskins do have a lot of BS that they've been going through. They added
and
Reuben
their owner,
Foster, Adrian Peterson. Like, they have some questionable characters.
And their owner's not the most liked guy in that city.
So I do take it back. I think the Lions would be the last.
The Reuben Foster thing is a whole bag of worms in itself.
I think the 49ers would be interesting because I think Kyle Shanahan is a interesting person, interesting head coach. Plus, Jimmy Garoppolo's interesting.
And the return of him as well as their starting running back.
Kind of the rehabilitation process, like how they bring him back.
And
also,
if there's even debate about Nick Mullins and him, of course.
I mean, I don't think that there is any debate whatsoever, but it would be interesting to see that relationship, Mullins and Jimmy.
Well, I think there's going to be like a minor, very short discussion about it at the beginning of the show type of thing, like who's your quarterback, and they're going to go Jimmy Garoppolo, and that depends on how Nick Mullins reacts to that. Is he going to be like, okay, I'll be the backup, or is he going to go?
Oh yeah, he'll be the backup.
Or is he going to go? Well, I'm going to test free agency.
Well, he has a 4-year contract.
But it's still a practice squad contract,
No, the 49ers have team control over him for 3 more years.
Got it.
So he really doesn't have a say in what happens. But it would be that Garoppolo coming back from injury, there's an interesting dynamic there. Jerick McKinnon coming back from injury, you could kind of see why they would be interesting. George Kittle and had a really good season.
And with the second pick in the draft, this team could easily be a playoff team next season.
So let me ask you this. If you could pick any team in the NFL to be on Hard Knocks next year, doesn't matter the rules, just any of the 32 teams, who would you pick?
Oh, the Patriots.
The Patriots. I think I could one-up you.
Who?
The Steelers.
Ooh. They both would be really good, though.
I want to see Tomlin, Big Ben, Antonio Brown
Just
in the same
how about
room.
just put them in a wrestling ring and just have a ladder above with a contract? Fight for that contract.
I want to see that drama with a bag of popcorn front and center.
Yeah, but
Patriots are always interesting.
But the thing
Always
is,
interesting.
between Belichick and Brady at the end of their careers, that's why I want to see that the most.
That would be cool. What about the Browns? The Browns would be interesting too. I know they just did it, but with a new coach coming in, the momentum
Depends
of
on
how
who the
they
coach
did.
is. Depends on who the coach is.
Sure, I agree with that.
Hugh Jackson Jr.
But even if it was like Mike McCarthy, I think that'd be cool. Or Bruce Arians would be cool.
Bruce Arians would definitely be an interesting one. Mike McCarthy doesn't seem like an interesting guy, to be honest with you.
What other team? Other than the Patriots
And the Steelers.
and the Browns.
We agree those two are the most intriguing.
I honestly, I actually would say if there's no rule, I would say it would go Steelers then Raiders or Raiders and Steelers, just because the Raiders, there's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot of drama for sure. But the Patriots are number 3.
Not knowing where the hell they're going to play next year is super intriguing to me. And we know the Raiders are going through a major roster turnover again this year. They have all those draft picks.
Two of them.
Maybe,
I feel so bad
can you
for them.
imagine Derek Carr getting cut on camera? Like,
Oh, my God. That would be amazing.
Like, that would be like, whoa. Like, that would be
That-
a whoa moment.
that
That would
is-
be the whoa moment in
That's like-
Hard Knocks history.
That's like Jon Snow dying in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that would be.
That's like, no way, what just happened?
And, there is a lot of talk that Gruden's, like, kind of crazy.
Or Glenn
he's
dying
lost
in
it,
Walking
and
Dead.
you could see that firsthand on a show like Hard Knocks. And you know that they like.
No,
Gruden
how-
likes the camera. Like, he likes
Oh.
the conversation.
He was
with the
on
media.
TV for 10 years, and he had his like Gruden's bus or QB camp or whatever that was.
Yep, yeah.
So he loves the camera. So he would definitely have major. If he needs to make a major move, he would make the cameras in there for that move.
Yeah. Other than that, though, I don't know if there's a team. I mean, the Cowboys would always be interesting. They're the Cowboys.
I don't think it's just. We know what we.
I think the Rams would be interesting too because they have some characters on that team and they're good. And Sean McVay seems like he's probably like I bet you he's like bench pressing as much as everybody on the team, and he's like their head
McVay?
coach. Yeah,
Let's not go that far.
because he's like so ripped. You know what I mean?
He's a bulky dude, but I don't out bench pressing.
No.
Aaron
I mean, I was saying that tongue in cheek. I'm saying
Oh.
like. I could see him being in the weight room and being like, Jared, like to Goff, like, get over here. I'll show you how to do this squat because you obviously can't.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And then
Well,
like,
Jared Goff's a skinny little legs.
but wouldn't it be funny to see a head coach like out like physically performing someone in the weight room on his team?
Him versus Adonican Sue in a bench press contest.
Like, hey, Aaron Donald, if I can do more reps than you on the bench press, and you owe me like a mile or something like that, and then like
Oh, my
actually see it
gosh.
happen, that would be pretty fun.
But overall, I think you're right. I think we're both agreed. Excuse me. We're both. I think the Raiders would more
Steelers,
entertaining.
Raiders, that'd be fun. I would do either one.
Have
of
a
those.
mixed camp of them two. Just see what the heck happens.
They could have joint practices.
I might just like go back and forth on their camps. Just make it
Yeah.
2 teams, right?
You know what's funny is that usually there are teams that are adamant about not wanting to be part of it, and then like, don't be surprised if you see like the team that there's only 5 teams that can get on it. So don't be surprised if the other 4 teams, if you see them somehow, some way give up something. Like, don't be surprised if you see the 49ers play the New York Giants in Mexico City next year because they didn't do Hard Knocks. Like, they bargained their way out of not doing it. Yeah, this happens.
Oh, you
in
mean
the
having
NFL.
to take the bullet and play in Mexico?
Yeah, or
City?
like they'll say like, you know what, Goodell, we'll play in London if we don't have to do Hard Knocks. Like, we'll be
and
one
it's
of the
nothing
teams.
against London. It's the travel.
Exactly. It's like don't be surprised if you see one of these teams or
Okay,
multiple of these
can
teams.
I be honest with you? I can easily see John Gruden pushing for Hard Knocks.
Maybe.
Be
If
like,
I was the Raiders, I wouldn't want to be in the spotlight any more than I already am, but that I could see
John Gruden would beg to differ. He loves it.
Anyways, I think that's it for the show today.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think we got to move on and come back Monday where we talk about what happened this weekend. We have some good NBA games, but obviously
And you know what else is on Monday?
the College Football Championship.
The National Championship, Clemson and Alabama, the rematch of the day, because we've already seen the rematch of the century.
Yep.
Like what I did there?
Yes.
And as always, I'm Jeff Malinoff. That's Mark Souza. We'll see you on Monday. Have a good weekend, everybody.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.